big things have small beginnings.
As a fervent enthusiast of the Alien saga, I've long admired the intricate layers of fear and survival woven throughout the series. Alien 3, in particular, stands as a divisive yet bold chapter, a film that I hold in high regard for its daring narrative and atmospheric depth. Its two cuts, the theatrical and the assembly, offer distinct visions of a bleak universe, ripe with existential dread and raw storytelling. However, the film's handling of certain characters sparks a deep-seated contention. It's a dichotomy of admiration and profound disappointment, particularly with the fates of Hicks, Newt, and Bishop. Their abrupt demise as we crash land with Ripley onto Fiorina 161 feels like a narrative betrayal, a gutting departure from the rich character development we experienced previously in Aliens. Focusing on Newt, her character arc is the most disheartening aspect to revisit. She was the embodiment of innocence amidst the chaos, a beacon of resilience and hope. The child who survived the horrors of LV-426 and clung to Ripley as a newfound protector met an undignified end, one that still resonates with a sense of injustice within the fan base. The unsettling autopsy scene, though not overtly graphic, is an affront to her character. A final, morbid punctuation that sealed her fate in a manner unworthy of the survivor we had come to champion. The decision to kill Newt off-screen and dissect her in such a manner feels like a creative misstep, a disservice not only to the character, but to the audience who had rooted for her. It was as if the film wanted to force Ripley back into a corner, alone against the xenomorph threat, yet it did so by undermining the relational depth and the emotional continuity established in Aliens. It was a narrative choice that still evokes a visceral reaction from fans, as it stripped away a layer of humanity that the franchise had fought hard to preserve. Alien 3, for all its atmospheric excellence and thematic bravery, faltered in its duty to its characters, especially to Newt. Her premature end robbed her of a narrative that should have been richly explored, of the future she could have had. This was a girl who personified the horrors and strength found in the fight for survival. Her death, particularly its off-screen nature and the subsequent autopsy, feels like a creative injustice that turned a survivor into a mere stepping stone for further plot development. It's in this aspect that Alien 3 falters most significantly for me. Despite my appreciation for the film's stark representation of Ripley's relentless fight and its exploration into the psyche of the isolated and the broken, it's hard to reconcile with the narrative's disregard for characters that had become so integral to the story. The betrayal of Newt, especially, remains a sore point. She was more than a character. She was a symbol of the franchise's underlying theme of maternal protection and the loss of innocence in the face of an uncaring universe. The child who had overcome so much, who had formed a familial bond with Ripley, deserved more than an off-screen death and a posthumous appearance on an autopsy table. Her end was not just a death, but a shattering of the emotional investment we, as an audience, had placed in her journey. This isn't just about a character's death, it's about the narrative's integrity. It's about honoring the progression of characters who've been through hell and back. Newt's death in Alien 3 feels like a betrayal because it didn't just rob her of a future, it robbed the audience of the chance to see a beloved character continue to fight, grow, and perhaps eventually even find peace. Now, as a parent myself, the resonance of Newt's loss in Alien 3 takes on a profoundly deeper significance. The bond between Ripley and Newt was more than a mere narrative device. It was a reflection of a fundamental human connection, one that transcends the screen and nestles into the very reality of our lives. As a father, I see not just a fictional child or a character in peril, but the embodiment of my own daughters, my own flesh and blood. The protective instinct that Ripley embodies speaks to me on an elemental level, and I'm sure for all the other parents out there, you can agree. This deepened perspective makes the handling of Newt's character all the more tragic. The autopsy scene is no longer a distant act of fiction. It's a nightmarish situation that stirs a visceral dread akin to the thought of any harm befalling one's own child. It's a grim reminder of the vulnerability and preciousness of our own children, a stark, unwelcome intrusion of one of life's greatest fears. Such a scene, and Newt's demise, is felt with an intensified acuteness that perhaps only a parent can fully understand. The fiction of Alien 3 thus weaves itself into the fabric of our parental consciousness, making the loss of Newt not just a point of contention for fans, but a personal, haunting echo of every parent's silent dread. The film, while a masterpiece in its own right, will forever carry the weight of this decision. In its attempt to strip down to the core elements of Ripley's solitary battle, it inadvertently stripped away a part of its heart. And for many of us, that is a loss that is felt just as keenly as the characters themselves. Newt, Hicks, and Bishop, they were the emotional anchors, and their absence is a void that Alien 3 cannot fill, despite its other achievements. We understand the intent, but we mourn the execution, and we carry the memory of what could have been had they survived, especially that of young Newt.
It's been dead a long time. Big things have small beginnings.